for joining me on my channel. Today's teacher video is of course going to be in a little bit of a different background, as you can tell, because we have a lot going on today at home. Also, I was subbing for most of the day, so I did not get to record this earlier. So everybody's home now. We just had dinner, so we're cleaning up. I'm trying to record real quick. So today's theme for the teacher video or topic is going to be substitute teaching, and I'm coming at it as a teacher as well as as a substitute. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at notes that I took so I could make sure I don't miss any of the important parts that I would like to cover. So first, of course, for the sub plans, you want to make sure that you have lesson plans, a classwork for the day, timeline or schedule for the class, a roster, and emergency plan. Now, as a substitute teacher, it's important to know what we need to do for the whole day. It's important to know who all the students are. What are the class schedules? When do we change to do what? And to have all the resources available to us and not have to run around trying to find everything and be in a panic not knowing what to do. And as a teacher, we want our substitutes to know what to do and to be able for everything to run smoothly. And then those kids that might not be the best behaved kids in the classroom, we want them to be able to be behaved, or for some sort of routine and consistency even though we're not there. So what I did is I have a sub binder and a sub tub. Unfortunately, they are packed, so I'm not able to show them to you right now, but I will discuss with you what I have in each of them. So what I have is a binder, and it is color coded. And the first thing that's in the binder is a letter to my sub. I'm thanking the sub for being my sub. I'm letting him or her know the logistics of the class, like the do's and don'ts, or what the class is really about, especially since I was teaching gifted and talented. I also leave basically a table of contents of what to find in the binder. Like, first you're going to find the letter, you're going to find extra paper so you can write notes to me about how the students were, you're going to find the rosters, you're going to find the lesson plans, and so on. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is I have the schedule, either the class schedule of the day if I taught elementary school, or the bell schedule for secondary. And I usually included the whole bell schedule because sometimes there's 2-hour delays, sometimes there's pep rallies, all of that. And I make sure that the sub has as much information as possible. And sometimes I have a little extra information that, you know, they don't need to know every single little detail. But the more information the sub has, the more smoothly their day is going to go. Now, the second part is the class roster. So each class period, I have the class roster, I have the lesson plans for that class period, and I have all of the work that that class is going to need. Now, if it's for elementary school, then you're going to make sure that you have it in order of what the sub is going to need to hand it out in, and have the one roster for the day. And the reason why you're going to give them an extra roster in that notebook on top of the rosters that you ordinarily have is in case of an emergency. And I'll just explain that here in just a moment. So the last thing that I have in the binder is the emergency plans. What to do if there's a lockdown, what to do in a fire drill, or if there's an actual fire, what to do in a tornado drill or an actual tornado, and so on. What to do, and all the directions, where to go, every single little detail is in that little section. And I make extra copies of the maps and everything and the rules and all of that for the sub planner. And one of the things that I do say in the notes or the letter is read thoroughly the emergency plan so you are aware of what needs to be done in case of an emergency or a drill, and make sure you take this notebook with you no matter what, so that way you have the plans with you and you also have the roster of the students. And that's why it's important to have an extra roster, so that way the sub has it in the planner, in that binder, and that way they can take it with them. And make sure that you keep updating the binder, whether you just add a student's name or white out a student's name, so that way it's the most current, the most recent roster for your class or class periods for the sub to have, so that way there's no mistakes, there's no confusion, everything goes smoothly despite you not being able to be there. Now, I keep the sub binder in what I call a sub tub. And the sub tub has the sub binder in it, any extra resources that I was not able to fit into the binder. And within the binder, I usually have the dividers, the colorful dividers that have the pockets in them. And I put the handouts or whatever for the day within those pockets. And I give each class period its own color, which is one reason why I said it's color coded. And so if I was an elementary school teacher, then I might just have different class lessons color coded if I wanted to, or green is the roster, blue is the lesson plan, red is the handouts, or red is the emergency, orange is the handouts, and so on. Now inside of the bin, going back to the bin or the tub, of course, is the binder, extra resources for that specific day or the days. And then I have another binder or folder that has emergency lesson plans. And what these are just generic lesson plans that range from anywhere from 1 day to 6 weeks or however many you can do. And the reason why I have these is in case of an emergency where you don't know you're going to be sick, something comes up and you're out and you're not able to get the lesson plans done for the week, or you get admitted to the hospital and you have these lesson plans already done. And again, they're kind of generic, so the dates aren't specific, but basically what they are is they are extra work that will help keep the kids busy, but also educate them at the same time. So for example, for teaching GT, I had extra logic puzzles, cognitive puzzles, thinking games, puzzles, stories that they'd had to analyze. For example, if I taught English, then I would have extra short stories or long stories, extra essays that they would do, all of that. So it ties into the curriculum that the students are learning. But at the same time, if you don't get to it in the normal class period and the normal day when you're actually there, it's not that big of a deal, because these are extra little things that they are doing to help them keep learning and to help the class run smoothly with the sub in case of an emergency. And I have all the resources in there, and I think I had up to 6 weeks at a time in there. And what I would do is, if a case of emergency and they had to be referred to, then I would go ahead and take out the lesson plans for, like, example, week 1. And so I had several other weeks in there, so that way if they needed to be used, they were still in there, and I would just add to them as needed or take out as needed. But that is what I have for my sub bin and my sub planner. And let me know in the comments below what you think is important for a substitute teacher to know as a teacher, or if you are a substitute teacher, what is something you think is very important to know as a substitute. Hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry again that I don't have the planner or the binder and the sub tub for you guys to see what's exactly in it. But as soon as I get a full-time teaching job and I get my classroom unpacked, I will definitely make sure I show a video to you with that. So have a great day, and God bless.
And if you like this video, please leave a like, a comment, and